Okay, see you later. So, I'm going to make a really quick, crude review of the Nubia Red Magic 5G. So, now, first impressions, um, the look of this phone is unbelievable until you actually dive into it. And then you realize where they cut corners. Like the fingerprint read. Okay. it's it attracts dog hair like its day job. So, oh, you can see something flashing, and I'm not even using the phone. Awesome. I don't know what that's about, but you can actually see that the screen protector is peeling off, and that's right from the factory. What are you doing? That was right out of the box. So, fingerprint reader peeling off right out of the box. You can already see that there's more dog hair attached to the screen protector, and I haven't even moved. Now, when I had the phone sitting on my desk, which is just like a regular wood surface, not polished or anything, and I had the charger plugged in, the weight of the cable was trying to slide the phone off. This is the workbench. This is not my desk. So what I thought to do was put it down on the screen like that, plug it in, and then when I went to go pick it up, I just kind of like slid it across, and this dog hair is ridiculous. It's hard to see. But it's like super scratched now. And that was within probably the first hour of actually using the phone. So the screen protector is already scratched. It's extremely cheap. The protective film that you get on other phones is probably stronger than this screen protector. Next would be the quality control. So if we look at these little switches right here, or the vents for the fan, you can see that they're all nicely evenly spaced. And then if we go over to the other side, they're not. So you can see that the ones furthest to the right there, those ones aren't drilled out. And it goes all the way into the little triangle on the left side there. Go back to this side. You have it right into the little triangle on each side. So for whatever reason, one side has more vents than the other. As for the bottom, it's pretty much the same. Like the holes for the speaker aren't drilled all the way to the top, which is really weird, but I don't know, that's probably just how it is. Not really faulting it on that. So now we're going to try and actually get into it, and this is where the fun starts. It doesn't work. And now I'm going to show you a fun part here. So we're going to go to the settings. This also drives me nuts here. These scrolling toggles there, you can't turn that off. That's just there. That Android 4 feel right there, that's there to stay. You can't do anything about that. Also, I don't know what this means. If you go to custom, and let's say I want to remove airplane mode, because that was one of the scrolling text ones. If we look down here at the bottom, if I try and remove it. Okay, let's try and get that again there. It's really hard to do with two phones. Must more than 11 switches. If anyone can figure out what that's supposed to mean, let me know, because I have no idea what that is supposed to mean. Also, if we go to the always on display, this is another one. It shows like these little previews. None of them are in English. So the software on this phone was just quickly translated to English and then tossed out. So what were we doing? Fingerprint reader. So let's go to the settings. And let's go to the password and fingerprint. Let's put in another fingerprint, and right here you can already see that I have 4 set up. So the first one is my right hand, second is my left hand, then right, and then left again. Which is really weird because the names change, because the first 2 were done through this setup, and then the second ones were done after. So now we can add my fingerprint again. Now this is the weird part. So it'll work, like different angles and everything. Oh, it's probably, oh, there it goes. It actually recognized my fingerprint as being recorded in one of the other ones. So it knows it's in there. It's literally just detecting my fingerprint as a different finger this time. So it doesn't even let you put your fingerprint in more than once. It's just so bad that it's actually detecting my finger as a different finger, which then makes the repairing process even harder because it keeps detecting it. And I'm trying to add it for the best possible scenario, because if I can get it with all of the faults in there, then at least if there's dirt on my hand or something, then it'll probably work maybe. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay, we're done. Did it. Let's try it again. Are you serious? Oh, okay, it worked that time. Yeah, so like, this is an issue for sure. Now, another thing here is you'll notice that the only other screen unlock options that we have are no password. We can do a pattern, we can do a pin, or we can do a password. We don't have face unlock. So that's weird. Another one is if I want to switch the launcher. So let's, oh yeah, we'll get into another issue here in a second. So let's find Nova Launcher. Okay, so now we're in Nova Launcher and everything's fine. Let's go to the settings, and I want to switch the default to Nova Launcher, and it immediately switches back to the Nubia Launcher. So let's go to the settings, and we only have the settings to change the desk layout or the home screen style. That's it. We don't have any other options. So this launcher is extremely limited, which is where having an aftermarket one would benefit, and these fingerprints on the screen are driving me nuts. So just bear with me a second here. Like, this is that little streak there across the screen. Oh my god. Okay. Got a big old fingerprint on the lens here. Okay, we're back again. Dog hair. I swear it's like a static. Oh, you can actually see all of the scratches now. That's how scratched it is. And this sat on the screen protector on my desk once. It has been in my pocket every other time, or sitting out on the back only. So that was one instance of the screen protector touching a hard surface. And that's what it looks like. And we can get a better look at that, where it's peeling off in the top corner there, top left. Okay, so let's, come on, there we go. So the launcher, you can't change the default apps either. So if I open a link from something that someone texted me, it opens in Chrome, even though I wanted to use Firefox, so that also sucks. The display here, we have the option to change the font size. That's it. And it's on small, and you might be thinking, well, you know, that's not too bad. It looks pretty good. However, I had to change that. If we go to, okay, so first you have to go to About Phone, and then you have to tap your build number a whole bunch of times, so then you're a developer. Oh, I'm changing things. And once you're in developer options, you go all the way down to smallest width. And then in here, I have it set to 480, but the factory is 360. So that's how big everything is. It's like 55 plus center mode. Like, I wear glasses, but I don't need everything that big. Like, look at how big everything is. It's just such a waste of screen space. Also, the icons are absolutely huge at the bottom now. And then, oh, okay, that's fixed after restarting my phone. But for some reason, when I had opened this, none of the icons had labels. So you just had to kind of hope that you remember what the icons were for all of your apps. And like I showed you in the settings there for the launcher, there's no option to actually turn that on or off. So that was just something that glitched out on this phone. So now we can go back. I'll go all the way back down here, other system settings, and then developer options. You can go back, and then I will change, oh, where is it here? Smallest width, and I'll change that back to 480, which is pretty much at par with the ROG phone that I'm recording on right now. So okay, we're good. And now, if we open everything, so see now the icons are nice and appropriately sized, and we go here, it cuts off the text. So, like, you can't win with this thing. Another one here is this little switch. So let's flip that, because you know that this phone has RGB and everything, and you'll see that none of it is working. So let's flip that switch. Jesus Christ. Okay, so we're in the gaming mode thing. Pokemon Go, fantastic. And now we have RGB strip and the cooling fan. So now it's actually working. And that's another thing, because in the settings, you cannot turn that on manually. You can only have it set as like a notification. So if you get a notification, if you have a call coming in, or it's activated through sound. So if you're watching a video, it'll go off, but you cannot have that on in any other circumstance. Or charging, that was the other one. But just for like regular use, you just can't have it on. So you can't flex that gamer aesthetic for no reason. So now let's swipe over, and then this is another one with where they didn't have those scrolling ones, but it cuts off. So we have block MS, super SN, and then over here we have screen H, and then docking. So we, like, it cuts them off. So unless you read the manual to actually know what those are supposed to say, then, or you have like enough intelligence to actually what are you doing over there? Oh, look at you. Yeah, you're not guilty at all. Yeah. Really? Okay. Yes. Hello. So the RGB strip you can turn on and off or whatever, and then if like you're smart enough to figure out that this is no messages or no calls or whatever. Okay, I'm just trying to compose myself. This is just the stupidest thing because, okay, they have a back button. So you hit it. Please disable the compete button. We're sliding. It's sliding. It's going. There it goes. So remember when I said this phone is extremely slippery? I literally can't have it sitting on a roll of tape. Doesn't even hold it in place. So, forget that. Anyway, the back button. So we have the back button. It says, please disable the compete button to exit. And I got stuck in here because I could not figure out what the hell the compete button was. It's the switch. Switch means button. I had no idea. So now, cooling fan. Oh, right, you actually have to go over here, I think, and then fan. And you can actually turn it on. Listen to that bad boy go. So, like, that's really cool. I love that. The fact that it's built in and you don't have to use the attachment like on the ROG phone. But the only thing with that is it only works in that mode. So you have to have that toggle flipped in order for the fan to be activated and the RGB to work. Which kind of sucks because you can only do that in games. So if you're running a benchmark or something, from my testing, you can't have the fan turn on for a benchmark. So you can't like try to get better scores for cooling. Oh yeah, I forgot about this too. Why did they arrange it like that? Like, like that is just like the weirdest thing for them to put the camera down at the bottom. Like, why didn't they just even try to center it? Also, all of the zoom functions on the side there, right up here, these are just all crops. They don't actually do anything. There's no zoom lens on here. And when I was taking some test shots, I'll actually just try and show you real quick here. We'll go right over here to these super definitely real plants. So let's take a test shot real quick and picture. So let's just, take a picture. Perfect. Now, if we go to this little drop down menu here, we open settings, and that was on 16 megapixels. So, oh, excuse you. So let's go to 64 megapixel, and now let's go back, and let's just take another picture. So there we go. Awesome. Ready to go. So this is 64 megapixel, and this is the 16 megapixel. Also, if you'll notice, it scrolls the wrong way. It starts at the left and goes to the right because China, and that's how they read. And they didn't think that in North America we go the opposite direction. So that throws me off a lot every time I'm trying to review pictures, and then I keep scrolling the wrong way. Also, again, no way to change that. So 64 megapixel, 16 megapixel. Okay, let's just zoom in. I'll put this back down. Okay, so this is the 64, right? Yeah, so 64. It's not very good. Okay, like it's hard to see. But like it's blurry. And then if we go to the 16 megapixel, it's exactly the same. So what I thought was happening with this was they were using super resolution upscaling. So it takes multiple pictures at 16 megapixel, and then in software makes it a 64 megapixel picture. And that's exactly what's happening. Because I can't go back. Oh my god. Okay, so you'll notice that in the 64 megapixel mode, we no longer have those digital zooms because it can't do a digital zoom when it's doing a super resolution upscale. So that means that this advertised 64 megapixel camera is actually a 16 megapixel camera that they just decided that it was going to be 64 megapixels. So that's complete false advertising. It's not a 64 megapixel camera, it's 16, and they use software to make it bigger, which serves absolutely no purpose at all. Because unless you're going to be using something where you need the actual size of a 64 megapixel picture, which is goddamn huge, then there's no reason to use this. And for the quality of the camera, you're not printing out billboards. So the 16 megapixel camera is more than enough. There's no reason to even change that. The only thing with it, though, is the resolution. So if you actually wanted to take up the entire phone's screen size, you have to switch it down. Oh, we just locked the phone. Oh, come on. Just work. Okay. So now we actually have the whole phone screen at 7 megapixel, which, I mean, that's pretty bad. Zoom in. Oh my god. Like, look at that clarity. You can't even tell that it's dented because it's so blurry. Hey, look at this, like I'm making a video and you can literally see dust on this water bottle. Nope. Looks great there. And the phone we're using now is like, what, a year and a half old? And you can pick this phone up, you can pick this phone up, the one that we're recording on, for like $800 Canadian on eBay, like $500 US. So buying a used ROG phone is literally a better phone than this. Another thing here is the camera. Oh, come on. Gotta go back and then back. Okay, so if you want to change settings, let's say I want to go to portrait mode and I just want to like swipe across real quick. You have to go one by one. And now let's say I wanted to go back to the first one, the camera whatever thing mode or whatever, you can't actually like skip all the way to it because it cuts it off. So like, I want to go back to portrait mode. Video, portrait. So like you have to go through all of them. There's no fast way to get to the other side. Which is another fun thing about the wide angle camera. You can only use it in the pro mode, which is really weird because there's no fingerprints on the lens and you can see hazing in the corner as if there's a fingerprint on the lens. That's just how it is. Like, that's how bad the camera is for the wide angle. It reminds me a lot of like a GoPro Hero 3 or 4. Probably a Hero 4. Yeah. You know, it's not bad. It's not good. But also keeping that in mind, if anyone has watched other videos that I made on this channel, I did a review on the ROG phone, and I complained about the wide-angle camera being so poor that it was a novelty. And the wide-angle camera on the ROG phone is significantly better than the one on this one. So that's really upsetting. Like, I would not recommend ever using this. Also, you have to use this special mode for macro. And a really cool feature of it, which I actually did like, is this little water droplet here. So you can actually see where you're focusing on. However, focus, 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 focus. Focus. Okay, let's move it somewhere else. Focus. Okay, awesome. Got a picture. This is... Okay, it actually looks pretty good on the video. And you're probably thinking, no, it doesn't. And that's because of how much worse it actually looks in person. So, like... It's like fuzzy. Like, what the hell is that? Did we take this through a shower curtain? I don't know. I'm extremely disappointed with this phone. I've messaged them on their tech support thing to see what they're going to come up with if there's a software update to fix most of this. Mostly because the camera stuff can easily be fixed in software. The hardware's there to support it. The wide angle, the macro lens, those are just novelties. I wouldn't even recommend using them. But the 16 megapixel actually isn't that bad. It's about at par with the ROG phone, which I've been content with for my daily driver. But like the rest of the settings are just bad. The fact that you can't change any of the default apps and everything. Actually, here's another one. This is ridiculous. So if I'm making a video, God, if I'm making a video and like, let's say I'm like running or something and you can't really see because it's trying to focus. Okay, so let's, like, you're running or whatever, and okay, as a bad example, you can't really see that well, but it vibrates. So like just moving the camera around like normally like this, You can kind of see it on here, but not really. But if you actually see it in person, it's as if I'm like shaking the phone. Like what you're seeing right now is like what it actually looks like in person, just normally moving. So if you actually turn stability off, it's shaky, but it's actually crystal clear. So like the stability on it is terrible, and if you want to improve the stability, actually turn it off. Also, it says it records 8K, but I feel like that's literally just upscaled 4K, considering the fact that it's just using upscaling on the photos to make the 64 megapixels. So I'm pretty sure that's just the 4K video that it's upscaling to 8K, because with some test shots that I saw absolutely no improvement at all. So this ended up being way longer than I expected this video to be, but that's my crude video of the Nubia Red Magic 5G. I highly recommend you don't buy one of these. If they don't get back to me soon about whether or not these issues are going to be fixed in software, I'm sending the phone back. There's no way I'm keeping this thing. It's terrible. Like I'm just going to go buy another OnePlus 7, because that's a way better phone for around the same price. Hi, puppy. Also, before I shut this video off, this phone here ended up being like $650 or something US, which ended up just a little bit more than 1100 Canadian. And the OnePlus 7T Pro McLaren 5G that I had a little while ago, there's some issues with that. I ended up having to send it back because I bought it off of eBay, and it ended up being like a lost or stolen phone. That's why I wasn't able to unlock it, so I ended up having to send it back on eBay. And that was when I found this, so I just decided to wait until this came out because it was cheaper and whatever. Except this color scheme, which is the one that I wanted, you can only get this in the 12 gigabyte model, or 12 gigabyte of RAM with 256 gigabyte storage, and that was like $650 or something US, which was like 1100 Canadian. And the OnePlus 7T McLaren 5G Pro, I don't know, it's the stupidest longest name for a phone. I hate that name. The OnePlus, that was 1200 Canadian, and you can buy the international versions for 1200 Canadian. So it's $100 more for the McLaren. You get 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage, like basically the exact same specs as this phone, except everything actually works. So don't buy it. Like, until they fix that software, this is like the biggest piece of garbage phone that I've ever bought. And I'm clearly still using the ROG phone because that phone is so bad I can't handle it. Like I paid for a downgrade. Look at it. Just staring at me.